This is the Reading Instruction Show. I'm your host, as always, Dr. Andy Johnson. Topic of today's podcast, legitimate teacher professional development for reading. Now, expert reading teachers have a specialized body of content knowledge related to reading. The International Literacy Association standards for literacy reading specialists describes knowledge in 7 areas. But I've adopted and adapted some of these and identified 6 types of knowledge required to be an expert reading teacher. And before you send me emails about how kindly old Mrs. Peterson taught kids to read for 35 years, let me clarify. Yes, you can be a very good teacher of reading to many children without having a fully developed knowledge base in some of the 6 areas I'll list. But to be an expert reading teacher, one needs to be able to make the best decisions for all students in all phases of literacy instruction. An expert reading teacher has the knowledge and skills to enable all children to develop their full literacy potential. This teacher prepares all students to be able to read, write, and think in the real world. And this is far different from preparing them to take a test. Much different. Here are the 6 areas. Number 1, expert reading teachers need knowledge in 1, human literacy learning, theories of human learning and development related to literacy. Number 2, literacy processes used by the brain to create meaning with print, and the process used to print to create meaning from print, cognitive and neurocognitive. The processes for reading and writing. I get it all mixed up sometimes. Number 3, literacy methods, the different methods or approaches to teaching reading and writing. Number 4, literacy pedagogy. These are the research-based strategies related to literacy learning and how and when to use them. 5, literacy research, how to read research, how to read a research article, as well as familiarity with a wide body of literacy-related research. And number 6, you need knowledge of literacy assessment and diagnosis. This would be miscue analysis, running records, qualitative reading inventories, authentic assessment strategies, as well as the strengths and limitations of standardized tests. Now, as I've stated before, legitimate professional development for teachers is necessary. We do not create a finished teaching product in 3 semesters of a teacher preparation program. No program is able to do this. Now, I am using the term legitimate to exclude programs and services that are profit-based. These are usually little more than infomercials disguised as professional development. Here, there is no check and balance. There is no blind peer review of the information provided. Only the information that supports their product or service is presented. Information that does not is not. And the best example of this is LETRS, professional development for teachers. As I've said before, there is no legitimate research provided to suggest that using LETRS professional development, 1, enhances students' reading achievement, 2, enhances teachers' ability to teach effectively, and 3, is more effective than other types of professional development. And remember, having elements that are supported by research doesn't make the program research-based. Every program has some element that can be supported by research. Now, With legitimate professional development for reading, you will very rarely encounter a magic method or formula or program or product. Instead, legitimate professional development for reading instruction provides instruction related to the 6 types of knowledge just described. Teachers won't simply be given a list of pedagogical skills or given a program to follow with fidelity. Rather, they will be provided with an understanding of how all phases of literacy learning occurs, along with supporting research-based theories and a variety of pedagogical skills that they can adopt and adapt as needed to their situations. Now, effective professional development also enables teachers to develop their professional knowledge and skills in the context of their classroom practice. Now, I recognize my own bias here, but good professional development still comes from accredited graduate programs in education where professors have spent significant time immersed in research related to the field. My tie fell off. My goodness. Now you know I wear a clip-on tie. Oh boy. Knowledge is important. These programs are usually aligned with the International Literacy Association standards and informed by a wide body of research-based knowledge in a variety of areas. But most importantly, this type of professional development is not influenced by profit motives. For example, when a legitimate graduate class is offered by a real professor, that professor is bound only by what a body of research has determined to be best practice. They don't get paid more for saying some things or not saying other things, and their courses continue to evolve. That is, as they continue to learn, to do scholarly work, to review research, and teach students, their knowledge base expands and their thinking changes on issues. Imagine that. This enables them to make significant changes from semester to semester or even from week to week. Now compare that with the rigid type of curriculum or programs offered by LETRS and their one-size-fits-all professional development. Here, the same information is presented in the same way, in the same order for years. Only when sales begin to slip will there be revisions. And I bet you the teachers in Blackwater, Arizona are taught the same thing by LETRS as they are in Edina, Minnesota. One size does not fit all. Well, what about professors who use their own books in their courses, like you? Aren't you making money off your books? Well, that's a good question, Ed. In the field of education, professors who write books are rather rare, and that's because academic writing is hard work. It takes a lot of time and an enormous amount of thinking space. Most professors who work in teacher preparation programs have 3 or 4 classes to teach every semester. Besides the time spent teaching, usually 1 to 3 hours is necessary to prepare for each class period. That includes they must grade assignments, communicate with students, provide service to the department, college, and field, and to be relevant, they must continue to read and synthesize the latest research in the field and publish in academic journals. The field continues to evolve. It's not a static thing. Now, writing a book like I've written requires a great deal of time to think, plan, read the research, read related books, take notes, and that's before the actual writing starts. And I'm able to do it just because I don't have many outside interests. outside of literacy instruction and playing the euphonium. But the truth is, I would make more money per hour working at a fast food restaurant than I do writing this book. And most professors earn very little from royalties. And most colleges and universities have a system in place for getting approval when students are required to purchase your materials. Well, if you don't make money, why do you write books? Thank you, Ed. Another great question. I write books for 4 reasons. First, most often there's not an adequate textbook to use. They're either too expensive or filled with too much stuff or don't contain the right information. And second, I write to contribute to the field. Hopefully my ideas will add to the greater conversation in some small way. And third, it's part of my job. They pay me here in Minnesota to be curious about literacy things and then to write about them. It's called scholarly work. And fourth, not all people are motivated by money. Some people are motivated simply to do the right thing. And the field of education tends to attract these people. Now let's look at programs. Accredited graduate programs at universities can provide good professional development for teachers. But of course, accredited graduate programs differ in quality. And one of the ways to determine the quality of a graduate program is to look at the publishing record of the professors teaching in the program. Have they been published? Publishing books and journal articles requires that one read and synthesize the latest research in the field. And if they've never published, what makes them relevant? And let's talk about the liberal agenda. Conservative pundits often accuse professors of pushing a liberal agenda. And I'm not quite sure what that is. But this is an example of anecdotal evidence and I thinkisms. How do you know? What is a liberal agenda? What specific things are said or done in a liberal agenda? And do you have any support, any data to support the proposition that professors push liberal agendas? Do you have any evidence that they brainwash students? And by the way, if I were that powerful, if I had the power to brainwash students, they would certainly study more and start their assignments earlier. And I've spent over 30 years in higher education. I have yet to encounter a professor with a liberal agenda or one who brings politics into their courses. Most have a research-based agenda or a knowledge-based agenda. But even if I knew what a liberal agenda was, I simply don't have time or space in my courses to have a liberal agenda. This has been the Reading Instruction Show. I'm your host, Dr. Andy Johnson.